This next forum is going to be for the Office of City Controller or Treasurer. The City Controller or Treasurer is the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Stevens Point and serves for a period of 4 years. For the April 2nd election, there are 2 candidates. They are seated before you, Corey Ladick and Carrie Freeberg. Each candidate will first have 1 minute for opening remarks, and they'll have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. They will have 1.5 minutes for a closing statement. The timers with the light will help you, and when it turns red, that means you stop. Okay, I will repeat the question as requested. After they answer the League's question, they will accept questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, or people on either side, they'll provide you with a card and it can be turned in. All right, we will now begin a 1 minute opening statement from each candidate, and we will begin with Carrie Freeberg.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for allowing me this opportunity. My name is Carrie Freeberg. I am the current Deputy Comptroller Treasurer for the City of Stevens Point. I've been in that position for 13 years, and I've worked for the City of Stevens Point for 24 years, starting at the Stevens Point Police Department as a Records Bureau Secretary. I'm not a politician. That's a good thing, because this position is not your typical political position. The Comptroller Treasurer is a working position. To do this position well, you need to know municipal budgeting, municipal investments, and our accounting system. Oh.
Is there a problem?
Wasn't that yellow?
Yeah, that was yellow. I think red you have to stop. Yellow is the
Red
30
you have to
seconds.
stop, but yellow's just a warning.
Yellow is just a warning.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have anything else you want to say?
Well, I have my 30 seconds. Working side by side with the Comptroller Treasurer has given me the experience and the insight to be able to keep the city going on its strong financial base that it's currently on. The City of Stevens Point has the best financial bond rating of most municipalities our size in the state of Wisconsin. I'd like to keep that financial strength going, and with your vote, I hope I can do so. Thank you.
Okay. Corey?
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm Corey Ladick. First of all, I want to thank the League for inviting me here to present my case for why I think I'd be a good City Comptroller Treasurer. Also want to thank all of you for showing up. I know that there's been a lot of election fatigue, but I see that we have a standing room only house again, which is just great to see the civic interest in this community. What I bring to the City Comptroller position is knowledge and skills that are not currently available in City Hall. Those skills include advanced financial knowledge of the finance sector. I do have a master's degree in business with a finance specialization. I also have experience working in small business and working in banking. That's important because this position does interface quite a lot with bankers in the private sector. So I think that it is important to not just understand what's going on inside City Hall, but also to understand what's going on outside City Hall. The other piece of experience that I bring is experience at both the state and federal level. And that is important both for grants. It's also important because we're affected by a lot of issues at the state and federal level, which hopefully I'll talk about a little bit more as the debate goes on. All right.
Thank you. We'll now move to the questions. And again, each speaker will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. And for the first question, we'll begin with Corey Ladick. If elected, what would be your primary goal for City Controller Treasurer's office for the next year?
Sure. Well, if I'm elected, the first most important priority is making sure that we have a good budget, that we have a budget that's balanced, and also that we have a budget that does not dip into fund balance for operational purposes. I think that that's important. We will see what comes out of the next budget. I know this one was maybe a little bit easier because of increased aid from the state, believe it or not. We don't know if that's going to continue. So I think that we are going to have to look at how we can improve, how we can be a little bit more efficient, and how we can work with other levels of government, especially with the county government. There's not a great working relationship right there right now, and that's a shame. There's some duplication in services, and there are some efficiencies that we could have, but that it looks like we're not going to pursue just because the city and county can't work together. I think that's unacceptable. I think that as the chief financial officer for this city, those are some of the issues that we need to really push forward on and get that local cooperation. The other serious issue that the city is going to be dealing with is the need for infrastructure improvements, the need for improvements in roads, and that really requires a long-term capital spending plan, and that's something that I don't think that the Comptroller Treasurer's Office should do in isolation and then say, here's our plan, this is what we're going with. I think we need to get public dialogue involved. We need to get dialogue from the city council, from the department heads, rather than just say, here's our plan, we're going to go with it.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Carrie.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Certainly. If elected, what would be your primary goal for City Controller Treasurer's Office for the next year?
The primary goal for me would be to keep the strength of the city going. Like I had said earlier, the city is the strongest it's been in 27 years. I don't really think there's always room for improvement, but I think keeping the strength that we have going is going to be a plus. I do agree that we do need to maybe open the lines of communication a lot more. That's one of my goals. That's one of the things I've been going on, is the communication level. Our borrowings are set up to help the taxpayers. We are setting things up to help you as the taxpayers. If we do structure things the way they need to be structured in order to help keep the tax rate steady. If we do go off and borrow a ton of money and there's no, the Common Council has the actual final say in how the money is spent. We make the recommendations to the council, and then they make the decision. The municipal investments are dealt with when you look at them as a whole. We structure them so that there isn't going to be a big tax increase for people. Thank you.
For the second question, we'll begin with Carrie Freeberg. The city budget continues to be of concern to taxpayers. What do you see as the primary issue facing the city in the terms of budget in the next 2 years, and how would you address it?
The big item that is on the plate right now is the cost controls that that the state of Wisconsin has put on municipalities. With those cost controls, we are limited as to what we can do in the budget. We do our best with what we have. The budget has always, our budgeting has been very accurate. We haven't had problems with overspending on the budget. As far as the cost controls, if we have growth, I guess what I would do, we would need to bring more growth into the city. If we have more growth, that'll help us we'll have a bigger tax levy base, and we'll be able to bring the taxes, down more and be able to keep the budget balanced. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey?
Okay. And can I ask you to repeat the question?
Certainly.
Okay.
The city budget is a concern to taxpayers. What do you see as the primary issue facing the city in terms of budget in the next 2 years, and how would you address it?
Sure. Well, like I already said, I think that the budget is an important issue to pretty much everyone in the city. I think we're all affected by it. Basically, what we have to do with the city budget is do more with less. And that's just the reality. Because of levy limits, because of aid from the state, and we're not sure what exactly is going to happen with that aid from the state. I know Carrie mentioned our bond rating. The biggest thing holding us back as far as our bond rating actually is the uncertainty at the state level, and uncertainty with levy limits, uncertainty with shared revenue. So we have to be able to adjust to those changes. And one way that I've already suggested is being able to work with the county a little bit more. Looking at the long-term budget that the Comptroller Treasurer's Office presented, in 2015 they plan on spending over $86,000 for a SWAT van. Now I grew up in Stevens Point, and I'm a lifelong Stevens Point resident. And that's something that really made me question, why exactly do we need that? We need to be able to separate wants from needs. And that's not a partisan statement, because I've been going door to door, and I tell you, it doesn't matter if people are a Democrat or Republican, they want their local dollars spent wisely. And if we can spend our local dollars wisely, then we can have the money for the things that are truly important. Things like the Edgewater Manor, things like our education system, which is getting hit because of our stormwater surcharge. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we will now move on to questions from the audience, and each speaker will have 1.5 minutes to respond. We'll begin with Corey. The position you would like to fill involves highly technical financial transactions and reportings. What advanced financial education and experience do you have that qualifies you for this position?
Sure. Well, I think I have the perfect educational background for this position. I have a bachelor's degree in public administration, which is basically governmental management, includes public budgeting, public accounting, some very important skills there. And then my master's degree is in business administration and finance. The coursework would include fixed income securities, capital structure, and those things are important because we are at a position where we need to really start to think about the big picture. This position is more than just a bookkeeper. This is the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Stevens Point, managing a $22 million budget, managing a little bit over $11 million in savings. Part of the responsibilities of this position include managing the idle funds of the city, managing that $11 million that we hold in savings. So certainly having somebody who has a solid background in finance and also somebody who has a little bit of business experience, I think that that's important. I think that I don't want to be too boastful, but certainly when this position came up, I looked at what I could bring to this position, and I feel very strongly that I bring the right knowledge and the right experience to be effective for the taxpayers of the City of Stevens Point.
Thank you. All right, Carrie?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. What advanced financial education and experiences do you have that qualifies you for this position?
I have experience. I have worked side by side with the Comptroller Treasurer for the past 13 years as his deputy. I have the experience of going through hard budgets when things were tough and we had to make personnel decisions. The experience that you gain in the office is not something you're going to learn in school. This is something, it's a municipal type of office. It's not something that you can learn in a business, municipal investing, municipal budgeting. These are all things that have different rules than the things in the private sector. I firmly believe that experience is going to be what takes the city farther and to keep us going on the strong financial base that's already been laid. We have a Moody rating of a AA2, like I had said earlier, that is one of the top, that's second from the top of all the rating for the schedules. we have a very good, strong financial base in the city. We got that with many years of experience, and I was sitting there next to the person who got us that far, and I will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Each candidate will now have 1.5 minutes to make a closing statement, and we'll begin with Carrie.
First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for allowing us the opportunity to do this. I think it's a wonderful service to the community, and I was honored to be a part of it. The city is in the best financial shape it's been in over 27 years. Something like this doesn't just happen. It takes many years of experience and hard work. Knowing cost controls that the state has put on municipalities, accurate municipal budgeting, structuring borrowings so that the taxpayers don't feel a huge impact, making wise municipal investment decisions have all played in the role where the city is today. By understanding and practicing these important and routine functions, the city has one of the best bond ratings for a municipality our size in the state. Our bond rating has enabled us the lowest interest rate possible when doing our borrowings, which helps keep the taxes low. I am a City of Stevens Point homeowner and taxpayer, so I have vested interest in this city. To be perfectly honest, I don't really feel that this position should be about speaking, how good of a speaker you are. I am not a good speaker. I'm not a politician. This office is about working. It's about working hard. It's about the experience that you've gained in the position, things you've learned, and the things you can take with you as you go. Thank you.
Corey?
Okay, well, thanks again, to the League of Women Voters for bringing me here, and thanks to all of you for your attention. I do kind of want to respond to a couple of things, and the first thing is, I know sometimes the question comes up, what's important in this position? Is it experience or is it education? And I tell people, you need both. I think that both are important, and I think that there are certain things that you learn with experience, real-world experience, that you don't necessarily learn with education. At the same time, there are things that you learn in education that you don't always learn just with on-the-job training. So I think both are important. I also think that those of us who do work in the private sector or in different areas do have something to offer to the city and do have some input that should be valued. I guess I was a little bit discouraged that I actually approached the Comptroller Treasurer's office and suggested a better way to finance things more efficiently. And I was pretty much blown off. I think that that's a problem. I think that the constituents of this city have had great suggestions for the way that the city has managed money, have questioned things that needed to be questioned, have questioned business transactions that were not correct, and the attitude from the city has been, we know better. I don't think so. I really feel offended by that. I believe that the people of this city have something to offer, and I want to be your voice in the City Comptroller Treasurer's office.
I'd like to thank both candidates for the time and energy they have invested in running for City Controller and Treasurer and for participating in this forum.